Tonight, let us step gently into a different way of seeing. Not a lecture, not a test, but a quiet journey toward a subtler order that has always been here, waiting beneath the noise. We'll walk with Aristotle, not to collect facts, but to rediscover a rhythm in life that calms the breath and softens the heart. These are not rigid rules. They are invitations, open doors to explore, to question, and to find the wisdom that already lives within you. We will move through stories and soft insights, like lanterns placed along a night path, with gentle questions that awaken the calm, curious part of the mind. The promise is simple, a shift from disarray to coherence, from feeling scattered to feeling guided. Through Aristotle's lens, we will sense a natural order that doesn't constrain us, but helps everything fall quietly into place. Welcome, dear friend, to SleepyPhilosopher, a sanctuary for the mind. Here there is nothing to fix, nothing to prove, and nowhere to be except here. If you feel at home in this kind of reflection, you are warmly invited to subscribe, only if it feels right, and to whisper in the comments where you're listening from and what time the night has placed you in. Let's take a first soft breath together, in through the nose, and out like a tide receding from the shore. Our path begins with a question: how do we find order in chaos? Aristotle's first step is to look for purpose, what he called telos, the end toward which a thing naturally moves. And so we begin. When life feels chaotic, Aristotle invites us to remember that everything, in its own way, lines toward an end. In the opening of his Nicomachean Ethics, he observes that every art, every inquiry, every action and choice aims at some good. It's a simple thought, yet quietly revolutionary. Beneath the swirl of activity, there is direction. To sense this is to soften the storm inside. Picture a sculptor in a quiet studio at dawn. The air is cool. Dust floats like soft constellations in a pale beam of light. Before them, a block of marble, untouched and stubborn, a small mountain of possibility. The sculptor does not attack it. They listen. The chisel rests like a tuning fork against the stone. Tap, a shard falls. Tap, another. With each small gesture, the sculptor is not forcing a shape, but discovering a form that wants to emerge. It is as though the statue was there all along, sleeping in the stone, and the sculptor's task is not to impose, but to reveal. This is how Aristotle's telos feels, a quiet orientation inside things, guiding them toward what they can become. The studio stays hushed as the day warms. The shape becomes clearer, the angle of a shoulder, the line of a hand. When the sculptor pauses, nothing is lost. The statue is still there, waiting, drawing the next steady movement. And the work, though demanding, is calm, because the end is felt, even before it is seen. And so this ancient wisdom finds its echo in our own lives. We rush. We juggle messages, deadlines, plans layered upon plans. Our screens open like windows in a windstorm. One task bleeds into another, the hum of urgency masking the question that could bring everything into focus. When we forget to ask what something is for, we become pressed thin by activity without direction. Purpose is not always grand. Often it is tender and immediate, like deciding to chop vegetables slowly because this meal is how we care for a tired body, or choosing to answer one email with full presence because clarity now will spare confusion later. When we remember the end we aim at, even a modest one, chaos starts to rearrange itself into a pattern we can hold. Aristotle's point is not that life is a straight line, but that intention is a compass. Sometimes the end is the highest good we nurture over years, a life of flourishing and integrity. Sometimes it is simply the next right step, the kind choice in a crowded hour. And with each small orientation, the air inside us clears a little, as if dust is settling and contours are returning. Let us rest here and try something simple. Bring to mind a recent moment when you felt lost in the swirl, maybe earlier today, maybe last week. Without judgment, just notice it, like observing a small boat drifting from its moorings. Now gently ask, what is my purpose here? Not the grand, life-defining purpose, the local one, the purpose of this hour, this task, this conversation. Perhaps it is to learn, perhaps to listen, perhaps to finish one piece with care. Let the question sit quietly with you, like a small lantern placed beside your path. If no answer arrives, that is fine. The asking itself begins to shape the way forward, the way the sculptor's first tap reveals how the stone wishes to sound. Breathe in softly and out. Notice how even the idea of an end, of a telos, can soothe the mind, as if our scattered thoughts were bits of marble dust settling around a statue that is gradually appearing. In time, we will explore how this sense of purpose connects to virtue and to a life that feels whole. For now, we hold this first thread. When life turns chaotic, return to the end in view. Ask with kindness, what is my purpose here? Let that gentle compass guide the next, smallest step, and allow the rest to soften in the background, like a studio becoming still at dusk. The night is patient. So are you. We will continue together. Last time, we found a way to move through chaos by choosing a nearby purpose, a gentle direction rather than a rigid line. Tonight, we ask a softer question. As we walk in that direction, what kind of person are we becoming with each step? Aristotle invites us into the cultivation of virtue, qualities of character that guide our actions toward a deeper well-being he called eudaimonia. Virtue is not a rule but a rhythm, a practiced poise that grows through repetition, like learning to walk steadily on uneven ground. In the Nicomachean Ethics, Book II, Aristotle describes virtue as a golden mean, a balanced middle between excess and deficiency. Courage, for example, lives between recklessness and cowardice. When our fear is too strong, we freeze. When our boldness is unmoored, we break. Virtue is the art of right measure, fitted to the moment. And in that art, our daily steps begin to feel coherent, purposeful, and quietly kind, toward ourselves and others alike. Let us take a soft breath here, and let the idea rest like a small stone warming in the palm. There is a simple story of a man walking home along a narrow wooden bridge after dusk. The river below moves slowly, a ribbon of dark silk under the moon. Ahead, voices rise, two strangers, tense, shoulders squared. The man feels his heartbeat quicken. He wants to help, this is courage. But he pauses, not in delay, but in attention. He steps forward enough to be present, yet not so close as to inflame. He turns his hands open, his voice low, saying, "Are you all right?" He glances to a lit window and nods. A neighbor understands and quietly calls for help. He invites the men to breathe with him, counts a gentle rhythm, creates a little space. One steps back, the other unclenches his jaw. No heroic speeches, no sudden moves. Just courage tempered by consideration, the steady human choice to act without escalating. When support arrives, he thanks them and continues home, the river still whispering beneath the boards. He will never know if he did everything perfectly. Yet he practiced the middle way that night, the kind of courage that protects rather than performs. And so this ancient wisdom finds its echo in our own lives. In a world of rushing messages and relentless choices, balance can feel like a small miracle. We meet this miracle in modest moments, replying to a heated message after one slow breath. Speaking a necessary truth gently. Accepting a brave challenge and also asking for help. Resting when the body whispers enough, even as ambition urges us on. Virtue is like tuning a lyre string. Too slack, the music falls silent. Too tight, it snaps. Each day offers a handful of notes to tune, patience at the crosswalk, generosity in a crowded line, steadiness when plans change. Aristotle reminds us that we become what we practice. By choosing the measured middle again and again, we make our character into a place of quiet strength. The world may still rush around us, but inside a deeper tempo emerges, unhurried, attentive, and kind. Perhaps tonight we choose one small act to practice tomorrow, one note to tune with care. It could be courage with consideration, saying no thoughtfully or yes with support in place. It could be patience, letting someone merge ahead or pausing before you speak. It could be honesty, gentle and clear. Or generosity, simple and quiet. Let this be small on purpose. A single seed can change the garden, given time. If you like, place a hand over your heart and feel the rise and fall of the breath. Ask softly, which quality would I like to become? Then picture one moment tomorrow where that quality can be practiced in the middle way, not too little, not too much. Allow this intention to settle like evening dew, light and sufficient. As you rest, remember, our direction gives us meaning, and our virtues give us the manner of travel. Step by step, with the key of virtue in hand, the path becomes kinder underfoot. And somewhere within, a quiet music begins to play. As our path deepens, we arrive at a gentle recognition. For Aristotle, clear thinking and good living move together, step for step, like partners in an unhurried dance. Where our compass of purpose points us toward what matters, and our steady practice shapes character, it is careful reasoning that keeps our steps measured and sure. Aristotle's logical writings, later gathered as the Organon, teach us to notice how thoughts fit, how one idea leans softly into another. In the prior Analytics, he formalizes the syllogism: if this is so, and that is so, then it follows, revealing a quiet structure beneath our judgments. And in Book VI of the Nicomachean Ethics, he speaks of Phronsi's practical wisdom, not thinking for its own sake, but thinking that helps us choose well in the living moment. Tonight we let these threads cross, logic and ethics, so that our choices can rest on foundations as steady as the earth beneath a rooted tree. Let us breathe in once softly as we welcome this clarity. And breathe out, letting any harshness fall away. Imagine a garden in late afternoon light. The air is mild, the soil dark and quietly fragrant. A gardener kneels by a bed of herbs, fingers brushing aside small leaves to see what is taken, what is tender, what needs gentle space. There is a small watering can, a twine-tied stake, and a simple notebook with brief, honest notes. Sun here for 4 hours, too much wind along the fence, widen the path near the lavender. It is not rushed, each decision has a reason. If roots are crowded, then thin. If the stem lines, then support. If leaves yellow, then consider the shade. Nothing grand or dramatic, just a sequence of humble, steady corrections, guided by attention, guided by care. Weeks pass, the garden fills not by accident, but by a patient conversation with conditions. This is how a life can flourish under thoughtful tending. With small, reasoned choices, the heart grows hospitable, and we find a quiet harvest waiting within us. And so, this old wisdom finds its echo in our days of hurried taps and constant pings, where decisions try to sprint ahead of us. We have felt how haste frays the fibers of our attention, how it pulls us away from the purpose we set and the balance we practice. Here, a reflective mindset becomes a kindness. Before we respond, we let one breath touch the ground of our thought. We might practice a soft syllogism in our own words. I notice I am tired. When I am tired, I misjudge. Therefore, I will wait until morning. Or this message stirs anger. When I answer in anger, I rarely serve my purpose. Therefore, I will draft and return later. Our earlier steps, aiming at a good, shaping virtue through measured acts, are stabilized by this calm reasoning. Logic does not freeze the heart, it steadies it, giving our courage proportion, our patience a spine, our honesty a clear tone. In this way, thought becomes a trellis for our character, and our choices climb toward the light. If you like, picture your thoughts tonight as a small walled garden, close and protective. Choose one plot, a recurring worry, a hope, a habit, and kneel beside it. Ask, what does this need to grow well? More light, fewer weeds, a simple support. Offer it a breath. Offer it a sentence of gentle reasoning, 2 quiet premises and a kind conclusion. Perhaps I value rest. Rest is served by unhurried choices. Therefore, I can slow down now. Allow this simple form to be a soothing ritual, like brushing soil from your hands at day's end. As you settle, consider one guiding premise you wish to live by tomorrow, only one, and hold it lightly. Is it true? Is it kind? Is it aligned with your purpose? Let this question rest with you, like a seed tucked into warm earth. Breathe in and feel the mind clear a small path. Breathe out and trust that what is tended will begin to bloom. We have walked with purpose at our side, and we have practiced the gentle measures of virtue, letting reason steady our steps. Now our path turns inward toward the living center of Aristotle's promise, a life that quietly flourishes because it moves in accord with its own nature. Aristotle calls this eudaimonia, often translated as deep well-being or flourishing. It is not a trophy we own, but a way we move, an activity that breathes through our days. In Book I, Chapter 7 of the Nicomachean Ethics, he describes it as an activity of the soul in accordance with virtue, not a passing mood, but a sustained harmony of doing and being. Imagine discovering that you are a thread in a vast tapestry, and that your color and direction have always quietly belonged. When we live as the kind of being we truly are, we feel the pattern accept us. We are not pushed from behind, nor dragged forward, but carried by a current that fits our shape. Let us take a soft breath here. And another. We are not forcing anything. We are learning to move as ourselves. There is a small courtyard on a hillside where an old potter begins her work before sunrise. The air is cool, and a low conversation of birds accompanies the turning of her wheel. She wets her hands and rests them lightly on the lump of clay. Once years ago, she pressed too hard, rushing to make something beautiful. The vessel collapsed in a sigh, and the wheel spun on without it. Another time, uncertain, she barely touched the clay, and it rose into a thin, wavering tower that trembled and fell. Now, after a long apprenticeship to the quiet laws of the material, her hands have learned the middle pressure, firm and kind. The wheel hums, the clay rises. A curve appears the way a hill lanes into the sky. She is not inventing the curve so much as recognizing it, greeting it. The rim opens like the mouth of a well. The pot takes its form with a modest inevitability, as if it were remembering what it meant to be a vessel. When the potter lifts her hands, there is no triumph, just a quiet fit between what she is and what she does. She wipes the slip from her fingers and smiles without aim. This is the feeling of a life moving in accordance with its nature, neither forced nor slack, but held in the right measure. And so this ancient wisdom finds its echo in our own lives, day after ordinary day. We live among routines, the morning cup, the email, the commute, the conversation at the doorway, the key turning in the lock. At first glance, these moments look small, forgettable. But if eudaimonia is activity, not possession, then every small act is a brushstroke in the canvas of a flourishing life. Our earlier lanterns of purpose, those nearby ends we chose in the dark, now light the hands at work. Phronses our practical wisdom, steadies our touch, not too hard, not too soft, but appropriate to the moment, to the material of the day. We are the kind of beings who reason, who care, who make and tend. When we answer the message with patience, prepare food with attention, listen without interrupting, we are engaging our nature in action. Dissatisfaction often grows where we expect life to prove itself to us like a spectacle. But when we understand our purpose as participation, thread among threads, note within a chord, ordinary tasks stop being obstacles and become the very field of flourishing. The commute is a passage. The email is a chance to be clear and kind. The door we open is hospitality in motion. The good is not elsewhere, it is here, offered to our hands. If you listen closely, you may notice how this soft truth loosens the inner grip. The day's edges round off, and the constant itch of not enough begins to dissolve, like mist rising as the sun arrives. Eudaimonia is not spectacle but rhythm. Not a sudden prize but a continuity of fitting action. A garden becomes itself when the gardener tends a little every day, aligning effort with season and soil. We become ourselves by tending our choices the same way, habit by habit, breath by breath, until the pattern is not a plan we strain to remember, but a presence we relax into. Let us rest here together and try a simple inquiry. Take a calm breath in and let it go. Consider gently, what does it feel like in your body when you act in a way that is truly yours, neither borrowed from someone else's haste nor inflated by performance? Remember one small moment today or this week when you felt that ease, a sentence you spoke that needed no rehearsal, a kindness you offered without calculation, a task finished without friction. Hold that as a touchstone. Now allow this question to sit with you as you drift towards sleep. If, as Aristotle suggests, flourishing is an activity of the soul in accord with virtue, then what is one small action tomorrow that would let your nature move without strain? Perhaps it is making tea slowly, with attention. Perhaps it is sending one message that is honest and warm. Perhaps it is stepping outside for a minute to feel the air touch your face, acknowledging that you belong to a larger pattern, earth, breath, sky. Let these possibilities arrive like birds to a quiet branch. No forcing, no vows. Just an invitation to live as the kind of being you are. As you rest tonight, notice how your breathing finds its own measured path. This too is a teacher, effortless and rhythmic, strong without strain. Allow the day to become simple. Allow your place in the tapestry to feel obvious. And with that soft knowing, let sleep come, as a friend returning by a familiar road. We have walked far together, gently, through purpose, virtue, clear thinking, and the quiet art of living well. Now at the edge of rest, the teaching softens into something simple. When we understand and embrace our purpose, a natural peace arises. Like a river that does not argue with the land, life finds its way when it moves toward what it is made for. There is no hurry in a river, only direction, only the faithful downward lining toward the sea. Let us breathe with that knowing, slowly in and slowly out. We are not forcing meaning, we are allowing it. And long ago, in Athens, there were shaded walkways where conversations drifted like warm evening air. Around 335 BCE, Aristotle taught at the Lyceum, strolling along the Peripato, the covered paths that later gave his school the name peripatetic, the way of walking and thinking. Imagine the dusk after a brief rain, the stones of the walkway still glisten. The garden holds a clean, earthy scent. A young student lingers beside Aristotle as the last voices fade. They pause near a low step where rainwater, almost invisible, threads itself into a thin rill and slips away toward a quiet basin. It moves without strain, the student whispers. Aristotle nods. It moves according to its nature. They continue slowly, sandals whispering against the stones, watching how each little current finds a channel, meets another, and then another, becoming something steadier, something sure. No rushing, no command, just the calm insistence of a thing moving toward its end. And in their measured steps, the mind settles, following that small water toward the promise of a wider flow. And so this quiet scene finds its echo in our own lives. We have learned that grand promises are not required. What matters is the fit between our daily choices and the good we aim at. When our small actions lean toward a purpose we recognize as right, effort lightens. Tasks stop clawing at us. They begin to line up like little streams joining a larger course. Our conversations grow kinder. Our attention grows steadier. The day adopts a gentle cadence, the kind we have been practicing all along. If you listen carefully, you may notice where the current in you already flows. Perhaps it bends toward care. Perhaps toward craft. Perhaps toward simple sincerity in what you do. Aristotle gave this directional pull a name, telos, the natural end that draws a life into coherence. Not a rigid script, not a pressure, but a guiding shore that allows the river to be a river. Tonight, we do not need to solve tomorrow. We only need to let the waters find their channel. And if you like, breathe in softly and breathe out a little longer. Let the jaw loosen. Let the throat unclench. Let the shoulders settle by their own weight. Imagine that a river runs just at the edge of awareness, calm and dark and generous. Place one thought upon its surface, one concern that visited you today. Watch it become a leaf set gently on the moving water. It does not sink. It belongs to the flow. Place another an unfinished task. There is nothing to force. The river knows the way. Place the small prickle of an awkward moment, the echo of a conversation, the pause before a decision. One by one, the leaves gather into a quiet procession, drifting around the bend toward a horizon you do not need to see to trust. And you might notice something else here. As the leaves go, the banks become clearer. This is how purpose works when we stop wrestling with it. The channel shows itself, not as a command from above, but as an ease within. The virtues we practiced, patience, honesty, measured courage, generosity, become like smooth stones along the edge, shaping the water without effort. Thought aligns with action. Action aligns with care. Care aligns with a quiet, durable joy. And sleep arrives the way evening comes to a valley, by degrees, softly, surely, almost unnoticed until everything is calmed. And let us rest a moment in simple awareness. Inhale gently. Exhale slowly. Ask without urgency, what small, kind purpose could tomorrow serve? Not a grand mission. Perhaps only this, to move a little closer to what is fitting and good. To listen with more presence. To finish one task with care. To speak with clarity softened by warmth. Hold one intention lightly, like a pebble warmed by the sun. Let its shape be felt, and then set it on the river too, trusting that by morning the current will have made a path for it. And we do not need to carry the world through the night. The current can carry us. Our work is only to float, to feel the broad patience of the water beneath us, and to remember that our lives, like rivers, are already moving toward their sea. As your breath lengthens, let the body become simple and quiet. Let the eyes grow heavy. If thoughts return, set them once more on the water and watch them go. The journey of these past chapters gathers here into an ease you can trust. Purpose does not need to be clutched to be real. It can be held as lightly as sleep holds you now. And may the river within you move unhindered. May it find its wide mouth of peace. And may you drift there, unhurried, in the gentle wisdom we have shared. Rest well, friend. The sight is near.